Okay, we're back again with our project lesson. We are building from what we did last time. Although there are certain things that I've actually started to notice as I'm going through our class management system. We want to be able to manage our class and manage certain things. So we end up getting to realize certain things. We've got a class name, we've got a class tutor, we've got a class title, and we've got a class attendance. Where I think we need to redefine certain things in our structure or in the way our program is working. Because we're then saying if we put a class name and a tutor, it means we're going to be having different classes for each student. So what we might also need to now have is we might need to actually have a student detail or student details that will be able to then say as the class is going on, we've got the student details captured, where it could be an incident where each time that we have a lesson, a student needs to actually put something for their attendance. So we can have something like a character, and we have a reg number, which will be our array, but would be something that we capture for the student. So we can have this as 30. And then at the same time, we're also then saying we want to have the attendance. So we need to specify whether that student was present or they were not present. And we add that information to our current document. Which then means at this point, we add a printf. And with our printf, we want to be able to say enter student registration number. Like that. So that we can be able to get the student details and add that to our existing details or to our existing student content. Which then means we need to put a %s like we've been doing before. We put a comma, we put an ampersand, we put add, then we select the registration number so that we can be able to get the registration number of the particular student. So when all this is done, we'll then know that we have collected the information that we need. But at the same time now, we might also now need to then say, after creating this data, we want to put an extra element, or we want to put some extra component to what we are doing. So we are saying, after getting this information, we have just taken the information as it is. If you remember what we did last time, if we run our project and there are no errors, hopefully, we go to 1, we want to create a new record, we select 1 again, we want to add record, so we put the class name, let's say we put it as software, the class title, no, the class name was actually supposed to be either diploma or whatever, then the class title was supposed to be software, the tutor can be that name, class attendance, we can say present, registration number, we can then put whatever registration number we can put, and then if that is done, we then can choose to add another record or to close the program. So we can, or rather to go back to main menu, for we close program. Yes, we have closed our program. Okay, so there's certain things that I also noticed that we need to add to that. Let's say we are done with this particular point. we need to put a printf that states what we are doing and why we are doing it. So records captured, and we can then go back to our create value, and then at the same time, if we come here, we then want to say printf again. We specify closing program, so that we know that we're actually closing the program, and we can then be able to close everything that we've got. So at the same time, now what we now need to do is we now need to add some content to this creation process. So we want to actually get into something that we've also just looked at, but we're now applying it so that we see how it works. We've worked with files before, and we want to be able to add this content to a file. So to do that, we would need to have the file keyword. We then need to have a file pointer, and our file pointer, we have our fopen is equal to, sorry, it's actually supposed to be fp is equal to fopen. We open and we close brackets. We then want to open a file that we want to save. We want to say C records for our class records. Then we want that to be a txt file, and we want to be able to open it for writing like that. And then we also want to have our fclose, and our fclose, we want to be able to close our file pointer like that. So what we then need to do is maybe let's make that a small c. What we then now need to do is we want to have a function that adds information to our file. So the first thing we want to do is we want to work with a function called fprintf. Our fprintf gets our file, and then it gets our content, and then it gets our details that we want to put. So for now, we want to then say file record, and we maybe put a new line. We then also put our fprintf. We open and we close brackets. We put an fp for our file. We then put class name. We put a tabbed control, and then we put a comma, and then we say add dot class name like that. So I'm just gonna end with this line and test it to see if everything is working well. We select one, we select add record, we then say certificate, software, we put the teacher's name, attendance present, reg number, we put that, we return to main menu, and then we are done. So I was just doing that so that we can see if this particular section of our code is actually running. We didn't finish it, but it should give us some content. Okay, it did work. It gave us C records, which we didn't have before, and in our C records we've got class name, but it didn't give us the contents of what we put. So at least our file is creating as we had hoped. That's fine, but to sort out what we need, we just need to come here and put a %s, and then we are done. So we need to do that for the rest of the content. So I can simply just copy this and paste it a number of times. So we want the class title, we want the class tutor, we also want the attendance, and we need the last record, which is the reg number. Registration number, like that. So if we run it now, we should be able to get all our records being created, and we can be able to see if we have done our code well. And then we put a reg number, like that, return to main menu, 4 for close program, and then we are done. Let's see if that has given us what we have entered. Perfect. So everything has been entered, although it's coming out in a straight line, and it's not giving us our okay, we're getting the same record, but still it's not giving us what we'd want, because now we've got file record, class name, but no class name. It's at least okay, it's giving us certificate, so that's fine. We need to actually change this and put each element. So dot class title, then this becomes dot class tutor, that then becomes dot class attendance, and then that then becomes dot reg number, like that. So we can be able to have it show us whatever we want. But maybe let's put a new line so that it doesn't look as scruffy as it's looking there, and we can be able to test our content. Okay, so let's run it and see what it gives us. Add record, class name, certificate, class title, software, class tutor, we put the tutor, we put the attendance present, we put the registration number. Okay, so that's done. 4 for close program, then we should be okay. Let's test our content now and see if it's worked. Okay, perfect. So now it's given us the records as it is, and we are good to go. So some of the things that we might need to learn about this type of code is, when we are working with our code, or rather when we're working with our function, for example, we've just added our file, and our file simply means whatever has been entered there is what we want to save in the file. So our file pretty much works with our file and the file pointer. The file pointer gives us fp is equal to fopen. We then state the name of the file that we want to work with, and then we choose an action that we want to action out on the file, which is write, and then our file printf prints whatever we've got to our file, so that we can be able to work with our file, and we can put the contents that we want within our file. So we will also be referencing our variables from our structure, like our add.className, add.classTitle, etc. until we are done. Until we then get to fclose and our fp, and we get to close our file. So what this then means is our content will then be stored in a file record which we've got as C records, and it will give us an output like that. So that's one way we can also work with our files, and we can be able to use this as part of our learning. So here ends our lesson.